All right. Well, welcome to our Tuesday night team Zooms. It's called 10-10-10 because it's 10 minutes of Plexus products, 10 minutes of some inspiration, whether it's a customer story or a business success story. And then it's going to be 10 minutes of business strategy. Our special guest tonight is Sapphire Ambassador Lauren Wenzel, and she is going to not only share her business story, because I don't think a lot of you have ever heard it, and it's very unique. And then you're also going to hear a business strategy of hers in case you were ever thinking, Emily, you're just such a genius. You have like the best verbiage. You're such a great conversation starter. It's because of people like Lauren. Lauren is a verbiage genius. So she's going to share her secrets with us tonight. And I can't wait to hear from her. But before we begin, I'm going to talk to you about this little guy right here. This is Immune Plus. This is our old packaging. And as soon as we sell out of the old packaging, it will retire and you will see the new packaging. So the clear bottle with a green label and the bamboo top. So you'll start seeing that. Subscribe to this. If you are someone that gets sick all the time, subscribe to it. If you are someone that has thyroid issues, subscribe to it. If you are someone that has kids in public school or daycare and they bring home all the germs and you're not leaving your shoes at the door, subscribe to it. If you are someone with adrenal fatigue or issues with sleeping at night, subscribe to it. Immune Plus is such a cool product. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I did not take this product when we first launched it. I did order it when it launched during 2020. It wasn't even like a strategic move on Plexus's part. This product was already going to be launched. And then the whole world shut down because of a global pandemic. And you will see when you place an order for Immune Plus, you will see compliance pop-ups. That's not to freak you out. It's not to make you feel bad. You should talk about it, but there are some no things. So we cannot mention the global pandemic when we're sharing about this online. Okay. Plexus products do not cure. They do not prevent. They do not heal you from any diseases, whether autoimmune or however you got them. Okay. But vitamins can fill in nutritional gaps. And that's what this is. It's a superb vitamin. And so I'm going to share with you guys some of the reasons why it is such a great vitamin. So does anybody, y'all can put this in the chat. Does anybody know like the secret sauce ingredients that are in this? Go ahead and put it in the chat. There's no right or wrong answer. I mean, there are wrong answers, but I won't like call you out. So tell me what you think is so special about this. Anybody? Oh, okay. I'm seeing some comments. Okay. Yes. The mushrooms. Okay. Now, some people in this world like to smoke them. We are going to ingest them. And not, I know I'm so professional. And not in the way that some people do. I'm picky. I'm not going to cook with them. Like people put them in their pastas and on their salads. And I'm a picky eater, right? I'm not going to do that, but I will take it in capsule form. And not to mention, this is a completely vegan product. I don't think there's anything in it. Somebody correct me if it's not, but I'm pretty sure it is. So why is it so awesome? Please, Emily, tell me how it works. I'm so glad you asked. Okay. So Immune Plus works to prime, support, and maintain your immune system and how it functions in your body. Okay. So this helps reduce free radicals. It helps with cellular turnover. So when I think about that, I think about Immune Plus and Reset and what it's doing inside my body, because that is also a cellular turnover. And then it supports your natural defenses going on in your body. Okay. I don't know about you guys, but I have a gluten intolerance. And so that was one of the reasons why I found the triplex combo. But the reason why I love it so much is because of all the different vitamins that you're going to get in this. Okay. And I'm not going to try to pronounce these words and make a fool of myself. So we're just going to call them mushrooms. Okay. Because there's a bunch of different kinds. So the way it primes your body. Okay. It's the rich black rice extract and then the different mushroom extracts. So these are going to be put together in an antioxidant rich superfood blend. This helps stimulate your body's natural immune system response. What is a natural immune system response? There's a virus going on in your body and your body knows intruder alert. Okay. I want you to think about an alarm system. Yeah. And when someone opens your door, like for instance, my kids were trying to get into my car today and it set off the alarm. That's a natural response to an intruder, right? Okay. So your body, if it's not doing that, if it's just letting disease take over, if it's just letting bacteria take over, then you don't have a properly functioned immune system. So this is a great way to get that going. So it primes your body to have a natural immune system response. Okay. It supports your body with that turkey tail and the other mushroom extracts. Okay. There's multiple ones plus vitamin C. And then these are going to help with, I'm reading my notes. I don't know what I wrote down. Okay. It just supports the immune system. All right. And then to maintain it, there's prebiotics mixed in with a different mushroom extract to help feed beneficial gut microbes to support your overall health, including your immune system. So here's what I've learned about this. Have you seen some really amazing testimonies lately on social media, whether they're from Jules or Diamonds? And a lot of them are doing reset and they're doing it extraordinarily well. And they've been doing it, whether they were testers or they're brand new to reset. When having private conversations with them, because, their photos are going Plexus viral, I reach out to them and I'm like, hey, can you break down for me your Plexus regimen? What are you doing when you're not resetting? Almost every single one of them, like 99.9% of them have told me they added in 4 capsules of Immune Plus. You guys, I don't think a lot of us know about adrenal fatigue or how the thyroid works in our bodies. I mean, some of you do, but a lot of us aren't nurses. A lot of us don't know anatomy very well. I took it in high school. Lord knows I don't remember. But like the more I get older, the more in tune I am with my body. And I remember hearing that for the first time during pregnancy, like, listen to your body. And I'm like how gassy I am? What do you mean listen to my body? Like, I didn't know. Okay. So the older I get, I'm learning to listen to my body, and I'm learning that I do in fact have adrenal fatigue issues. For example, you can Google that, or something that my dermatologist taught me was you usually can tell if you have adrenal fatigue, if you have slow wounds that heal. So y'all know I had surgery. And so I have scars from explanting, and they're taking a long time to heal. And so that is normal in detox and removing an implant, but also it's caused by adrenal fatigue. So for instance, if usually it's common in older people, but it can happen as young as in your 20s. So this is just a really cool supplement, especially in the winter seasons. For those of you that where it's cold and y'all get all your seasons. In Texas, we get like one day out of October where it's cold. Today it was 72. I'm so happy. Okay. But for those of you with all the seasons and the constant season changes and pollen and crazy things like that, this is a great supplement to have. Okay. So I hope you give it a try, add it to your subscription, tell your peoples about it, and get creative. When you post about it, you can say things like, I had these weird mystery symptoms that had to do with, A, B, and C, and I started using this, and here's what I've found. Okay. Or maybe you have someone that is taking all the different mushroom extracts and all the vitamin C's, and they're taking Airborne and Airborne Plus and that nasty vitamin C drink. You know what I'm talking about? It's like Tang, but for adults, it's disgusting. Okay. You don't need that. You don't need NyQuil. You don't need DayQuil. You need to take more Probio 5, more Mega X, and Immune Plus, because most of us have a deficiency in vitamin A, vitamin D, and vitamin C. All right. So do me a favor. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Lauren. Like I said, she's a new Sapphire on our team. She is a mom and she is a newlywed. I'm so excited to hear her story. She is going to share with us some business strategy, but also just how she found herself at Sapphire. So Lauren, take it away.
Thank you so much. It has been a while since I've done a Zoom, so I appropriately wore my turtleneck so y'all don't have to stare at my splotchy red chest the whole time. But I'm super excited to see a bunch of new faces and talk to a bunch of new people. So as Emily said, I am a fairly newlywed. I got married in May of this year. And I have 2 kids, and I was born and raised, still live in the Northwest Ohio area. So this is where my roots are planted, where my family is at, and where I will probably always be. I have been with Plexus for 5.5 years. I joined in March of 2017 after seeing Kim Waterman's gold promotion post on Facebook. My second son was probably around like 5 or 6 months old at that point in time. And I had left the working world to stay home with him. I had been previously a single mom with my older son for like quite a few years, and I was super used to that daily grind, being at work and barely seeing him. And so I was used to that. So stay-at-home mom life was a big change for me and quite a shock to the system. So several months into it, I definitely started feeling that itch to be doing something, but I was also simultaneously enjoying that time freedom and flexibility to be home, to be able to get my older son off of the bus in the afternoons, all the perks that came with stay-at-home mom life. And just the right timing when I was looking for something, and I came across Kim's gold post on my Facebook feed. Kim and I have known each other since 7th grade. We went to junior high and high school together, and then we just kind of fell out of touch after high school, and Plexus is literally what brought us back together. So seeing her gold post, I reached out to her. I was pretty familiar with the network marketing structure, as I had worked for the interior, like in the corporate side of a very small startup MLM a few years prior to that. And so I got the compensation plan. I remember like being in the system and seeing people's like $100,000 monthly paycheck. And I'm like, what are these people doing? And why am I making $12 an hour answering customer service calls for them? So it was a really interesting thing. But there was also some icky and questionable stuff that went on that I knew about too. And so that was my experience with network marketing. Immediately, I trusted Kim's product testimony and plenty enough, and her herself to dive right into it. And so I asked her to send me the compensation plan to look over. So I'm definitely one of the more rare people where I was actually looking for the business as probably my main motivator. On the flip side of that, health wise, I was a 27-year-old mom of two that, and by all accounts, most people would just say like, oh my gosh, you're super fit. You don't even look like you had a second baby and whatever, just like all of those comments. But I felt like absolute garbage. I was momming it from the couch. Fitness had always been a big part of my life, and I had totally gotten off track with that because I couldn't fathom going to the gym, let alone just like getting off of my couch to go in the kitchen and make my family supper. Life in general was just very, very overwhelming at that point, and I didn't really realize how much I was drowning until I started Plexus and then realized what it was like to start living again. And so that happened within a few days. Like I said, I asked him really for the compensation plan. That was kind of what I wanted to know about because I already knew the products were going to be great. She sent it to me. I looked it over, and I think I signed up like 2 days later and immediately started sharing before I ever even got my products in my hands. So if you are struggling to find business builders on your team, if you are not posting about the business opportunity, if you're not posting about your teams, your sidelines, your uplines, about their victories, them earning the Nikes, them having a promotion, like whatever it may be, if you're not posting about those things, if you're not talking about the business opportunity, you may never come across somebody who is outright interested in the business. So that's my plug to everybody all of the time, is make sure that you're talking about the sharing opportunity publicly, not just with your customers once they start loving their products. So I started sharing right away. I went gold in 4 months. I was like, great, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to rank up every 4 months. And like in a year and a half, I'm going to be at diamond. Perfect. This sounds so good. And I just like saw the vision. I saw it. I was a college dropout. Like I tried to go to college 3 times. And so as like a high school diploma earner, I always thought my stamp of earning would be $15 an hour. I never imagined earning anything more than that. Like a very respectable, $25,000 a year, whatever the case may be. But as soon as I saw the income chart and I saw Emerald and I saw, I think Emily, that year you even shared like, you're like, if you want to see my 1099, message me. And I messaged her and I was like, holy hell, like what is going on? Is this actually real? She's a real person. She's a day older than me and she's a mom and she's a wife and I can do this too. So I just like got right to work and started sharing. And I just saw like the bigger picture right away. So whatever, things happened, life went on. One of my main motivators when I first started my business, and this is part of my testimony that I typically don't share like widespread publicly, is that I was in a relationship at that point in time that was very, very unhealthy. There was a lot of toxicity in that relationship, verbal and emotional abuse for sure. And it was very trying. And honest to goodness, if it wasn't for Plexus entering my life at the time that it did, like, I really don't know where I would be on all accounts, honestly. Still makes me so emotional to talk about. And the Plexus community, like having the women really saved me because it empowered me to get to the point of being able to walk away. And like when I finally left on July 1st of 2019 and exited that relationship and moved my kids out, like the first thing I did was went to the zoo with like Brooke and Lindsay and Kim and I don't even know who else, but like that was what we did. And I was a hot mess. I left at like 7:00 in the morning that day. But those were my people. And so the community was huge for me and the income, because I was a senior Ruby at that point in time. And senior Ruby is what allowed me to leave and like be financially free. That was another piece of my relationship too, as I dealt with a lot of financial abuse as well. Being a stay-at-home mom, not making anything. Even when I started making like $2,000 a month, it still wasn't enough. And so that kind of just became my main driving force was I need to make enough money to get myself and my kids out of this situation. And I did the dang thing. So that was in July 2019. And then a year later in July of 2020, I hit Emerald as a single mom of 2 boys, making a 6-figure salary. And that was wild. And then July of 2022, so July is just a really good month for me, I hit Sapphire just this year. So it's been a ride. I personally struggle with outside leg issues, meaning that my primary leg, Miss Brooke Kleberger, my ex-husband's wife, she is amazing. She's a freaking rock star, and Leah and Lindsay are under her and a bunch of other amazing people on our team. So they are just that whole leg is very strong, and I'm super proud of that because that did come from me. But I struggle with outside leg issues. For anybody else on here that does, it gets better. It gets better, I promise. One of the main things, and I think this is relevant to anybody, not just somebody with outside leg struggles, is with Plexus and network marketing, you have to personally develop like it's no one's business. If you want to make it in this, if you feel like you're struggling in it, if you feel like you're not understanding why you're not moving forward, if you feel like there's roadblocks in front of you, it's probably you. And I say that in the most loving and kind way possible because I had to learn that for me too. And it wasn't until just really earlier this year that I tapped into, with the help of Emily Gibson, she's a diamond, some mindset coaching, and just being able to decipher thoughts and feelings and facts. So something like for me was my truth that I carried hardcore was that I was always going to have outside leg issues. I'm always going to struggle. I'm always going to be behind. Like that was my narrative in my head. And I had to determine that that was really just a thought and causing all of these negative feelings for me. But it wasn't a fact. It couldn't be scientifically proven. Nobody could actually say like, yeah, you're forever going to do Plexus, but you're forever also going to have outside leg issues. And really the only person standing in the way was me. And so once I did that, then several months later, I got to Sapphire, and we're going to just keep going forward. So that's overall kind of like my business testimony. And then I want to just shift gears a little bit and talk about how to talk to people. That is huge in this business because it is a business all about people. Like, we aren't just trying to sell a product, we're trying to help a person. Every single day that we go out there and share about Plexus, we are making an effort to get these products in somebody else's hands so that we can change their life in the way that ours has been changed. The fact that I can say here 5.5 years later and get teary-eyed and cry about the people that I do this business with and how the products have changed my life around and how the business has impacted me financially, there are so many other people out there who are deserving of that same richness in life. And it's our responsibility to share that with them. And so when you go out there and talk to people, I just want to encourage you to really talk to them. Just have a conversation with somebody like they're your friend. And it doesn't matter if they're a complete stranger. The more that you can approach a conversation very conversational and not like a robot. And I know scripts are super duper helpful. I have scripts for pretty much everything. And I believe they're in the Wellbeing Society page. They're definitely in our working team page, but scripts for literally everything. Like somebody that you spoke with the prior month, somebody who said that they were going to order and they didn't end up ordering, somebody who ghosted after a certain point in your convo with them, reaching out to somebody who expressed interest on a post, recommending triplex. Like, I have a script for everything, but I always approach that in a super conversational way. One thing that I love doing with people is voice messaging. I feel like this has become like a very regular and normal thing for people. And typically I'll just let them know, because as soon as I start voice messaging, I'm like, this is way easier. And I just feel like I can tell you all the things that I want to tell you without having to make this a huge long paragraph and get this over to you in like a minute. So hopefully that's cool with you. And then it's also fine if they just listen to it later. What I love about voice messages, and they can definitely be intimidating when you first start using them, there's a delete button. So if you fumble over your words and you mess up, just delete it and start over. But I love voice messages because it allows them to hear you. Like, there's only so much relationship building that you can do via the internet and like messaging back and forth or commenting on people's posts. And so when you get them into a private message, whether it's from them initiating it or you, if as soon as you can make some sort of personal connection with them, do it. And the best and quickest way that you can do that is through a voice message. As soon as they hear your voice and they know you're a real person, you can add humor into it. You can make sure they get your personality coming through with it. And you can keep it fun while sharing the information that you need to with them in a much faster way than typing everything out and going back and forth in these long, long messages. Because that was how I used to operate. And I bet it was super overwhelming for people. And this has made it so much easier. So voice messages is like my number one top tip for what I do when I'm having a conversation with a person. The second thing that I would say as well is keep it light and keep it fun. So I basically try to talk to everybody like they're my Leo Weldy, or I try to talk to them like they're my Aunt Kelly or my mom. Anybody who is familiar to you, like the way that you would have a conversation with them, try to have your conversation with your potential in the same way. Obviously, still wanting to maintain like some sort of professional nature in your conversation, but the more personal you can make those touches and those conversations, the better off. I wanted to ask if there was any specific requests for like anything that you feel like you struggle with. And I have a few more things to share. So I'm going to ask this and then I'll keep talking and then circle back to it. But if you have any specific roadblocks you feel like you come up to with people when you're following up with them, when you're reaching out to them, something that you just feel like you struggle with having conversations with people. And I would be happy to like read through those and then give some initial feedback as far as like, this is how I would respond to them. And I'd like to do that live on the call. Another thing that I've really tried to do as of recently is when we were in Hawaii, Jason Dorsey was our keynote speaker for our workshop on day 2 of our training. He was a speaker as well at convention. So some of you got to see him there. And I really enjoyed listening to him. But one of the things that he said for people, he was talking about posting for sure. And so I've tried to make a concerted effort there, but we've like flipped flopped back and forth between being storytellers. And then now what he has said is like, people need their information so quick and fast. So doing things in bullet points. So as much as you can, trim down information when you're having conversations with people. Give them the meat and potatoes. Like, what do they actually need to know? What can you share with them from the specific questions that they are asking to give them the information they need and move the conversation along, while also remaining a human being. So make sure that you're not robot conversating with people, conversing. Sorry, they actually made that a dictionary word for the record, which is ridiculous because it's not a word. But so bullet points, if you can, not necessarily writing that in your messages, but it's a good note just for even in your Facebook posts, or if you're doing things on Instagram, like 5-second reels or 7-second reels, like that's literally the attention span that you have people for. So you have to get them either with like a killer headliner and then give them like the quick rundown of what they need to know. And then same thing kind of in conversation. So I really have just tried to make a big effort in my conversations with people to like give them exactly what they're asking for. And then I move the conversation along. The last thing I wanted to say is that for a lot of people, messaging and following up can be like one of the scariest things that you have to do in your business. And a lot of times that can stop you from having those conversations. So 2 points I want to give you for that. One that I've shared in the past is that think of your conversations or your relationships with these people that you want to follow up with. If you go in to your message with them and the last time you messaged them, it was, hey girl, it's been a little while since I followed up with you, but here I am again, and like that was your last message you sent to them and you're about to hit them with another hey girl message, don't do it. Think of that relationship almost like a bank account. And so if you have like zero money in your bank account, you obviously can't make any withdrawals. So if you have to make some deposits into that bank account, into that relationship account first, before you can consider making any withdrawals from it, or you're going to go in the negative. And essentially then you're going to like shoot that relationship down before it even has a chance to get going. So you may be eager to follow up with somebody and you may be eager to like get your second or third sign up to earn your Nikes this month. If it is at the expense of a relationship that you have not done your due diligence with and you have not made enough deposits with, that person is not the person to follow up with this month. They're not the person to try to help you win your Nikes. And they can be your person next month with whatever incentive there is, but you have to do some loving on them and you have to do some depositing into that relationship account. Second thing that I like to think of, because I have been somebody who's gotten so frozen in fear with follow-ups with people to the point where I don't do it a lot of days. And one thing I've started to do is try to like go to the worst case scenario. So I literally have to play that out in my head. And it's like the worst of the worst, literally like, but did you die type of level stuff. So, okay, I'm going to send this message to somebody. And like the worst thing that's going to happen is that they're going to like message me back and cuss me out and like tell me how terrible I am and Plexus sucks. And then they're going to block me on Facebook. And like, yeah, that's going to suck. I might even cry a little bit about that, but like, did I die? No. Will I move on and probably post about Plexus tomorrow because there's other people out there who need these products? Yeah, I probably will. And I've definitely encouraged some crappy comments in the past, as I'm sure many of you have on here. So if you get in those moments where you're like frozen in fear, that's like a new thing for me that I'm trying out and it seems to be working well. But if you need to get unstuck from that, like literally play out the worst scenario, like the worst thing that's going to happen. And honestly, 99.9% of the time, the worst thing that actually happens is that they don't respond, which is fine. Or they respond and they very kindly say, no, thank you. And that's also okay. We can bear that burden a little bit. So I'm going to read through here. Emily, if you have any input, I'm going to see if anybody has anything.
I just have an acronym because I think the number one thing that people say is I don't know what to say. And
Yeah.
then they don't want to use scripts because they feel like it's inauthentic, or they feel fake because it's a script, and maybe they have, a negative mindset because of something in their past. For me, when I hear the word script, it takes me back to when I worked at Massage Envy and I had to sell people massages while they're in like their dreamy state of euphoria coming out of a massage. And I'm like, hi, you're going to buy 12 months of massages from me so I can pay my bills, like that's what freaks me out. But I have an acronym for you guys. So I want you to write down the word no, KNOW. So when you are going to, it's basically everything Lauren said, but I just wrote this down to help y'all remember this. So the K stands for knowledge. Know what you're going into the conversation with. Is it about a current special? Is it the bullet points that you wrote down that Lauren mentioned? Like, am I reaching out because they messaged me about thyroid issues and I need to have 3 things ready to go, right? Have the knowledge, but also keep it simple. So you can write knowledge or keep it simple. Sometimes we think we need a script or we got to freak out, but if you want to keep it simple, you can send a voice message, say, hey, I'm in the car with my kids. It's going to be really loud for a second, but I was thinking about you and you keep asking me about Plexus, but you haven't ordered yet. What's up? Just keep it simple. The N stands for needs. And no, it's not your needs. You don't need anybody to order from you. Tell yourself that every single day. I don't need them, because then you're attached to the outcome when you go into the conversation, and when you get rejected or they tell you no, not right now, you freak out, you hate Plexus and you suck, right? That's what you tell yourself. That's not true. So focus on their needs, not the outcome. And remember, what is the problem? What did they post on social media? What did they comment on your status? What did they message you and say, I'm just really struggling with blank? Go back to their original need and always follow up with that. Not, hey girl, not, I'm just following up. They know why you're there. They know. You don't got to tell them why. They know. So follow up with their original need. The O is going to stand for own it. You got to have some confidence. Some of you are going to fake it till you make it, and that's okay. I've been doing that for 8 years. Okay. It works well for me. But if you own it and you have confidence, that means you've looked at company incentives. You've looked at the product of the month. You've looked at a testimony or what your conversation looked like beforehand. I love that Lauren said, if you sent them a message 4 months ago that says, hey girl, you know what I do? Sometimes I unsend it. You can hold it down and click unsend for everyone. And I send a new message. I said, hey, this is the last time I'm going to message you because you asked me to reach back out. So here's what's going on. Here's what I have for you based off our previous conversation. You didn't respond to the last message, so let me know where you're at. But I'm owning it. I'm owning it. I got confidence. I know what I have changes lives, right? It pays my bills. It pays Lauren's bills. It took her out of an abusive relationship. OMG, you guys, own it. We have life-changing great stuff. And then the W is wrap it up. When you wrap up the conversation, always ask a question. Always ask a question. Ask for a date. When is your next payday? Is now a better time, or is next Friday a better time? Ask what's holding them back. If you've been doing this dance for 8 weeks and they have not ordered from you, when are we doing this? It's kind of I used to make videos about dating your potentials, and I didn't mean physically. It was literally emotionally through Messenger. You date them, you kind of prance around it. We're going to go out, we're going to go to this dinner date or what? It's kind of the same thing. And you don't have to romance them. You make deposits, just like Lauren said. You send them a testimony, you send them some information, you send them a song lyric or a quote, or, hey, how are you? Let's go to coffee, right? But wrap it up with a question, info sheets, another story, maybe your most recent side-by-side or something remarkable that happened. But basically, Lauren covered all of that. So just remember the acronym KNOW. Keep it simple, know their needs, own it, and wrap it up with a question. And you will have great conversations. You won't necessarily need verbiage anymore because it'll come naturally to you. Didn't Lauren do a great job? Fantastic. We didn't even see your splotches. You did fantastic. I loved it.
They're super hot. Super hot.
Caitlin did ask if you had an example of people who ghost you. Do you have an example for that?
I do. I feel like this can come in 2 ways. So either somebody who literally says they're going to order and then they don't, and then it's kind of crickets. What do I do with this? So for that type of situation, if somebody literally verbally says, I'm ready, and then they just don't do it, I usually would say to them like, hey, Sarah, I know you said you were going to place your order last week. I didn't see anything on my end come through. And oh my gosh, sometimes our back office can just be so slow. So I just wanted to make sure that you didn't do that and it got lost somewhere in the shuffle. And you could also say like, or did you have any more questions that I could help you with to end that? But again, ending it on a question. But I think like being as direct as you possibly can and just addressing exactly why you're messaging them in the first place, which is totally relevant because that's where your conversation had left off. The other one is like, if you were having a good conversation with somebody and then they literally just like stopped responding, this is one that I've had written up for a while now, and it, I feel like it's pretty good. So, hey, Sarah, when we last spoke, it sounded like you were so excited to start with Plexus products, but I haven't heard from you after our last really good conversation about it. It's absolutely fine if you changed your mind. I simply want to make sure that you're okay and that we are okay. So I think just always prioritizing that relationship and making sure that they know that you value them as a person, you value their relationship, and you value the conversations that you've had thus far. Also, clearly, like, it's okay that you're checking back in with them. It's okay to just say that and be direct. I like that on the acronym with the own it. Like, it's okay to just go ahead and address exactly why you're reaching out to somebody, because they already know. Like when they see your name pop up in their messenger chat or their texts or wherever you're reaching out to them at, they already probably know why you're messaging them. So instead of like hemming and hawing and beating around the bush about it and then finally getting to it, or like trying to have a conversation and whatever, it's like, okay, just get to it, address it up front. And then after you address that, you can continue to have like a normal human conversation with them after the fact. So I do like that a lot. The other thing I would recommend as well that has worked really, really well for me, if y'all aren't using a message where like you get to that point in the conversation and you know they're interested, you know you've kind of answered all the questions that you could potentially ask for or answer that they have asked. I love the message of being like, if that combo sounds good to you and you don't have any more questions, I'd be happy to place this order for you. Or if you're more comfortable doing it yourself, that's completely fine. And then I send a little heart. And then I send in that exact message all of the things that I need: name, birth date, email, phone number, blah, 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 blah. I send everything all in that message already. So they see the list there, and the like, honestly, at this point, it's probably like 8 out of 10 people who just immediately send their information. And then I have it and I'm like, okay, I have a sign up, because now I don't have to wait for them to do it. I don't have to worry about them getting busy with their kid, whatever, slipping in the bathtub and like then they forgot about it, or their mother-in-law stopped by, or whatever the case may be, of what prevents people from just doing it. I do that all the time with Amazon. I'll have like a bunch of crap in my cart and I like go to order it or whatever. Oh, I gotta get up and get my card. That doesn't happen with Amazon, but like different websites and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go get my card now, like I've got something else to do. So it could be like a number of reasons, but that message has been working super well for me this entire year when I started implementing that. If you guys don't have that, we can definitely make sure that you have it, but it's been extremely helpful as far as a conversion rate on those conversations. And also it just like gets you out of that awkward zone where you're like, so what do you think? Like, are you ready? You just say like, okay, if that combo sounds good to you that we talked about, I'm happy to place this order for you, or you can do it yourself if you're more comfortable with that. So you're kind of just like directing them in the conversation, like steering them in the direction that you know they're wanting to head, without just like asking permission, and giving them the opportunity to kind of say no, which they can obviously respond to that message in a different way as well, depending on if they're ready or not, but giving them the opportunity for more questions too. I don't know if there are any more, but that is all I've got. So thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, Lauren. It's fantastic. I feel like everyone's taking notes. I will put her examples on the main post with the link to the YouTube recording. Did everybody learn something tonight? I feel like all of you are just like really busy, like absorbing information. I love that. I love that. So good. So good. And it's so nice to learn from somebody that you either haven't heard before or that is doing great with something that maybe that's your weak spot. Like for me, I've been doing it for 8 years, so I don't know how to explain how to do it. I love that Lauren breaks it down. It makes it simple. It makes us feel confident that we can go and do this right now, right? We're all going to do this for 15 minutes. We're going to go send messages. Yeah, we are. Okay. All right. East Coasters, I know it's late. Thank you guys so much for getting on, and I will have this recording up for you guys here in a minute.